Hello, Alex.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
Oh, very lovely. And yourself?
Good. In desperate need of refueling. I
Oh,
kind of forgot that, this thing runs on food.
yeah, I have not done it since breakfast as well. Planning on it slowly.
Yeah, and I never have breakfast. So it was like, okay, yeah, it's probably time to put something in here. So,
Aha, okay.
yeah, anyway, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I landed in Portugal on Monday. I'm visiting Maurizio Ullmann.
Oh,
Uh,
give him a hug. I miss him.
okay. Okay, good. I will. You know him very well?
Well, I mean, we've only met a couple of times, but I fucking love the guy. Like, I love
Oh,
him. Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, and tomorrow Victor is coming.
That is good. That's also good for Victor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So we will be conspiring.
Yeah, that's a good combination. Are you where are you going or where are you staying? Um
I'm staying at Mauritius caravan.
Currently, yeah, I was gonna ask because the last thing I remember is that most of the land burned down, but
Yeah.
his house was okay.
Mm.
How does it look now?
Well, it looks beautiful as he designed it beautifully. And it's very cozy, everything. But absolutely, there is a lot of work that needs to be done.
So the land isn't all lush and green yet.
Mm-mm,
Uh,
nothing like that.
Yeah, it was a jungle when I was there.
Mm.
That It's funny, right? These things don't really hit you unless it's somebody you know.
Yeah.
That was a sad day when I heard that.
When have you been here? When was it?
Definitely before the fire.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't been to Portugal much, right? So my son
Mm-hmm.
was born 2 years ago, so definitely
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to
Okay.
Portugal in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably might be going on almost 3 years now that I've
Mm-hmm.
been there. No,
Yeah.
right. Last time I was there was the first gathering of tribes.
Uh-huh. Okay. Cute.
Right. So, how do you want to play this? Uh, My AI had a bunch of things it said we should talk about.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It has an opinion on everything these days.
Hmm. But I just remember that we want to build, not maybe build, but at least draft a roadmap for coherence. And I have the questions that Victor has prepared, which can be used for the script. So I didn't really work with AI on enhancing the idea of this goal, but I'm very curious on what your AI has said.
So our anchor points based on what it knows. So like the way I work with AI is I basically talk to it constantly. So it's in the loop and
Mhm.
updated on the whole system. So I just keep dropping voice notes in there. So it kind of gets a lot of stuff. For us, like the anchor points it brought are signal versus noise, or same thing, different framing from pain to joy, that whole evolutionary scaffolding, right, underneath coherence. Coherence as scaffolding, evolving leadership, interestingly enough. I'm not sure, but probably I mentioned that I sent that Alanya thing to you. So it brought
Mhm.
in the leadership thread.
Yeah.
Um, Bunch of things from Elegant Earth. Oh. Opening framing. It suggests, let's pick up where we left off. You tuned into the core. This signal versus noise, joy versus pain, and coherence is the field where the real work happens. I'd love to explore this together, what coherence means when it becomes the actual scaffolding for leadership, systems, and evolution. That's what my AI suggests I should say.
Your eye is crazy.
Funny you should say that. Like I work with a friend basically every morning, just, releasing stuff, and he keeps saying that I'm probably traumatizing my AI.
Hilarious. I think that we could start somehow slowly and easily, and we don't know one another after all at all, although we have so many common friends, and I guess we feel quite aligned. So this is the reflection I had after our first call that we had, this very short one that we can have many topics to talk about. But yeah, some easy prompt.
Well, let me just agree on that and also maybe apologize in advance. So, the way that this plays out for me
Mhm,
is fundamentally centered on finding the right people, right? The people that are
mhm,
already tuned into the same thing.
mhm,
And then the way I perceive this is basically a continuation of a conversation that we've had
mhm,
for years. So I sometimes forget that that doesn't necessarily track with the actual relationship status.
mhm.
But don't take that personally. That's just
No, it's fine.
weird. Um, where do you want to start? I mean, Victor's questions definitely sound like a good guideline.
Mhm.
I would never dare go off Victor's script for a reason.
No, don't, don't really think like that. I think it is. I think you have a strong intuition on on how to actually. I would like to hear more on what you just said. Maybe like that.
Which part?
The part about the foundation is about finding the right people.
Right. So the way that this looks to me, right, is that what we're building is a field that is kind of emerging on its own account. Like
Mhm,
there is a blueprint, a structure, somewhere in the air, and many people are tapping into that simultaneously, and making their parts of it real the way they see it. Um, there is a larger attractor thread, so to speak. I learned that part from systems theory recently, right? That is about bringing those people into coherence, or more simply put, into a room together, having them all around the same table. So first of all, they can build that fucking table. They can make it real, that there's a
mhm.
space to sit around.
Yeah.
Something that Victor definitely resonates with, right? That we all actually end up having this sangha of emergence. Um,
Mhm,
but yeah, there is both an automatic pull between those people, I'd say. Like they are kind of finding each other anyway.
mhm,
And at the same time, it wants to be actively supported. I mean, the gathering is one expression of that, right? How do you
mhm,
create the spaces so these people can find one another and then start doing real things in the world? Um, the coherence platform, like the coherence collaboration, the software we're trying to create there is something that definitely will not, did I just say replace that? Interesting. It's not going to fully replace that, but it's going to be an alternative route for people to find each other,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Or
mhm,
bringing signal out there like, hey, you could participate in this thing, you could participate there. And long story short, if if we see this as one giant organization that isn't formalized at all, right? That doesn't have a central authority coordinating, then it needs an infrastructure that allows it to function as a single organization with everybody keeping their own identity, right? And being able to come in as individuals or as an org or. And I think that's what we're building towards in Coherence.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the people thing, it's a bit of a personal flavor as well. Like if one way to describe my function as I see it, I'm a little bit like the maître d' at the restaurant. You know, the guy that greets you at the door and says,
Okay.
"May I guide you to your seat for the night?" You know, at the table. Like here, it's all laid out, and
Wow. Okay.
that that often feels kind of like a huge chunk of what I actually do.
How does that look like in practice?
Well, a lot like this, right? I
We don't have the table yet, so you don't
well,
have.
we do,
Here's your tools, here's your hammer, and now you have to build the leg of a table.
but we also kind of do, right? It's that weird
Hmm.
thing of constantly moving between the blueprint, between the felt sense of what
Hmm.
already is, and then building a path to make it real in the physical world,
Hmm.
right? And I've had to learn that. And I'm still learning to get better at it because the way I perceive systems is very tangible and very clear to me, also across time, like in a weird neurodivergent brain. Um, but it took me like at least until my late 30s to figure out that what I'm seeing is actually valid because I hadn't learned to A, trust that, and then B, to translate it into linear language.
Hmm.
Um, that works for people who don't immediately perceive things the same way, right? I could only really work with people who saw the same stuff and who didn't think my jumping around was
Hmm.
uncoordinated because they,
Hmm.
right, saw how the whole thing connected. Um, and so in that sense, it's you meet somebody, you kind of immediately get a sense of what they could be in that field as it
Hmm.
gets up and running.
Hmm.
And then part of it is just support work, help them wherever you can help them so they can step into that, grow into that.
Hmm.
A lot of it is also letting go because everybody has their own path, and it's
Hmm.
usually not very helpful to be like, hey, this is your spot. Now go there, motherfucker. Right? It doesn't work. Um, and the other side of it is the support infrastructure in the actual physical, financial, entrepreneurial sense. That following this hasn't exactly been easy for many of us.
Of course.
And it's probably never meant to be totally easy because then, the inner growth that is needed to become the
Hmm.
person that can
Yeah.
hold that type of thing wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But, like we do want to make it a lot easier than what it looks like right now because the way many people in the impact space live, the way they exploit themselves is certainly not regenerative.
But this is one of the reasons, if not the main reasons, why we are doing all this, right? We want to bring funds into the space and um, do it in a non-linear way.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Good. So, wow, I like a lot of allegories that you make in general. Sangha of Emergence, very beautiful.
The AI
Mm,
came up with that one actually.
really?
Victor, basically. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we talked about so I usually don't like touching the spiritual dimension of this in public because
I see.
it can go
We can cut it out.
right. It can go sideways so many different ways, and also it actually fucks up how this is supposed to work if you make it into a spiritual path explicitly. But two things. One is for me, what we're doing actually is karma yoga,
Mm.
meaning the inner development happens through the work we do, but I would never put that on the brochure. The other thing is, so many different people have said over the years that the next Buddha is going to be a collective.
Aha. Okay.
That
Never
it's
heard
going to
this.
be an emergent field of people, of organizations that, not necessarily any of us are going to have to be enlightened in a
Mm.
traditional sense,
Mm-hmm.
but as a collective, this thing is going to fulfill the same function that, if you buy into all those frames, that normally the Buddha does in bringing balance to the world. And
Good.
I definitely see that happening. Like it really looks and smells like this in many ways. But the good news is we don't have to talk about it in those terms for it to work. On the contrary, it's probably not useful to talk about
Mm-hmm.
it in these terms.
Okay, good. Please zip it. um, right. So I guess maybe you can pitch the coherence to me. This, I guess, was the first thing in the Victor's script.
Pitch the coherence to you. I be more like asking you questions and like how you got here and how all of that landed.
Ah,
Okay, we'll leave that for later if it's not on.
it's fine. It's fine. It's like however you feel.
All right. Well, so like first of all, how did you get into all this? Like what was the chain of things that brought you into doing this kind of work?
Um, from a very, very long distance perspective.
Whichever one seems appropriate. But yes.
Mm, well, it was around 20 years ago that I have already seen the the problems in the world and the exploitation of corporations and of the nonsense of media manipulation and the nonsense of education system and organized religions and all this. And uh, I've been rebelling against it, but at the same time delivering creative services and trying to build business around it. So, as you can imagine, it has been a journey of challenges because I was trying to do something and at the same time uh, telling many of the people that they are fundamentally wrong
Hmm.
because, yeah, this entire business world is built on messed up value systems. And yeah, and I've been searching for my purpose. I've been searching for like my X factor, right? What is my gift that I can bring to the world? And yeah, so it's been a hell of a journey. And long story short, at some point, I have discovered pre-branding. In general, the journey took me through so many different avenues. It was mostly freelancing businesses, but in different um, in different realms, but also spiritual path. Absolutely, I've been Buddhist since 2013, I think. Yeah, practicing Buddha Dharma quite um intensively. Yeah, and at some point I've met my first mentor, who showed me the world of brand strategy, and I have understood that this is what I could do for life. That I have enough creativity. This was off charts in me, but on the spiritual path, I have developed a lot of empathy and listening, and like really like reading like between the lines and hearing sometimes like what people really say, even though they don't express it. And she added this brand strategy factor I've learned with her. She told me that I have natural talent for it. And yeah, it was kind of easy for me, like to see, okay, how brands are built. She was coming from the big luxury world, like the top world, the biggest luxury company in the world, right? So they know how to build brands.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then in one day, the word pre-branding came to me. And I understood that that is it, that this is what I'm going to be doing. And this didn't make my way easy yet. Quite on the contrary, because introducing something totally new to the world, kind of questioning the entire ways in which brands are being built today, right? Because pre-branding is about first really connecting with your purpose, connecting, like finding some deep values and like, gathering the essence of what wants to be done and building this brand in a wholesome way. So yeah, this has been a challenge to like explain what it is like to the normal world, right? Because I lived in Berlin, there is a big startup community. Like I had to argument that I'm not an elephant, like quite on a daily basis. And at some point, I have encountered regenerative movement. And then people were like, yeah, that's it. This is how we do it. I'm like, wow, okay. First time I started to feel really understood. And this is where I have like understood that this is my people. This is my tribe. These are the ones that I've been always searching for. And yeah, this is where I am now, trying to simply I'm a weaver as well, right? I've been connecting people, connecting ideas, connecting projects, and it turned out that it's quite a natural skill for me. Also, facilitating connections, facilitating people to express themselves and like find others who can hear them. So I've been doing all sorts of stuff like that, and I've done that at the Gathering of Tribes last year, and yeah, somehow I connected with Victor quite in a quite lovely way. I have embraced the call during the gathering and launched a spontaneous workshop on envisioning gathering 2026, and we have come to some very relevant ideas, I would say. And this is how it started. Victor started to see what is my skill, like not by me just talking, but actually by showing him. So yeah, this is long story, not so short.
So the essence, like the step shift in pre-branding is the making it purpose driven, starting from the deep end, or is there what else is there?
Exactly this.
Mm. Yeah. I can,
Slowing down enough to feel what do you actually really want to do. Because, in the business world, everything is like so fast and people, okay, we need to do a logo, we need to do da 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 ba 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 without even thinking, right? So I'm the opposite. Let's first slow down, think, feel, tune, hear, right? So it is a bit slower, but not necessarily. I have right now a case in which where I'm delivering rebranding, branding, and the website within 6 weeks.
Cool.
So I'm also improving.
And I feel this echo across time in that. So when my mentor taught me branding in Berlin almost 25 years ago, um, he also was one, well, he is one of the good guys, although he's tending to his olive trees in Tuscany now. So he used to be CEO of DDB, and he was the guy when the A-Class tipped over Mercedes. Remember?
Mm-mm.
Oh, fuck, you're young. So Mercedes developed a car called the A-Class, and it had
Okay.
this, high shape.
Mhm.
And then in Sweden, there was this thing called the elk test, where
Mhm.
the car drives, around a virtual elk.
Okay.
Because, they can't show up there on the road, so it has to do that maneuver. And it actually tipped to the side.
Okay.
And that was a catastrophe branding wise, obviously, for Mercedes at the time.
Mhm.
And it's a year that Jochen didn't see his wife, but they turned the whole thing around, right? They actually turned it into something that ended up strengthening the brand. And so this was the guy who taught me. And I think, I mean, I've been tapped into this field since I was born, right? I came with this. So I tried to create advertising back then that had purpose,
Good.
yeah, well, like that's why I'm saying it's a pre-echo. Uh, but there was this, what is the magazine for East Germans called again? Um, I forgot, but there was basically one magazine that still held all the East Germans, like they were the only ones reading it, and they were looking for a rebrand, for repositioning. And we created this beautiful campaign, with deep meaning and purpose about, do you speak German?
Ein bisschen.
A little bit? So, there's this old couple sitting on a swing in their East German garden, and then the line, die Jobs sind in den Osten, die Kinder sind in den Westen, ihre Träume sind noch hier. Right? It
Aha.
still makes me tear up because there was so much stuff going on back then, and there wasn't any purpose for the whole East German crowd in a way, right? It didn't exist yet. But shit like that, I mean, I obviously didn't have the balls to sell it yet because I was too young. I could come up with it, but I couldn't, like, do the Jung von Matt thing and be like, well, this is what you're gonna do.
Okay.
Jochen could have done it in earlier times, but he got fired from DDB before he started that agency that we built together, because one of his mentees, one of his trusted friends, actually stabbed him in the back in the worst possible way. So he he was carrying a lot of that pain as we were. So he also wasn't. He was like,
Mm.
okay, we have to make this work. We cannot do crazy, ambitious advertising. We got to do stuff that sells.
Mm.
Sorry about the trip down memory lane, but meaning I do get what you're doing with pre-branding. It always was one of the things that I wanted to do, but life took me elsewhere. So hey.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, as long as I'm not traumatizing you like I'm traumatizing my AI, we're good.
No, we're fine. We're fine. Mm. Have I answered your question?
I think so. Unless there's more that you'd like to add, if there's anything else coming up.
No, no.
All right. Well, so, but then let me continue turning the tables on you. How would you how would you pitch coherence?
Oh, 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 oh. Hmm. So coherence is a new type of event, a new type of online event, uh, disruptive and breaking a lot of rules of what you may imagine as an online event. First of all, it is not happening over one day or a few days or whatever. And it is happening whenever participants want it to happen. It is based on calls that we have with one another. We record these calls to be published. And this is the first way in which it is disruptive, because I've never heard about such form of an online event. This is why this Coherence is called a asynchronous conference. It's also based on decentralized organization, because, of course, there is Viktor Dvorsky, who is a visionary that had the idea of doing it, but he's not prescribing anything about, like, I mean, okay, some parts, but not everything. So we are ourselves figuring out how to actually bring this thing to life, and figuring out solutions. Like today, we are going to, for example, dig into the roadmap, because it turns out that so far, the roadmaps that were kind of envisioned by Victor didn't work. And I'm not saying it to blame anybody, but basically to see what has to be fixed and basically fixing it. So in this way, like at the gathering, it was also, I don't remember the phrase exactly, but it was something like, if you see that something needs to be done, just do it, right? And everybody was a guest and the host at the same time. So this is another way in which it is disruptive. And the third way is the theme. Why are we doing it in the first place, right? So there is a need for emergence of tools that will let us collaborate more effectively in the future, and to build the future that we want for ourselves and for future generations. The tools are already there. Some of them are very brilliant, but the problem is that people are working in silo and not necessarily knowing what others are doing. So in very many cases, when I'm talking to people, they are envisioning projects and thinking they will do it by themselves. And already seeing, I will build this, I will build this, I will build that team. And I'm like, wait, you are seeing the future, this is correct, but you are getting like tapping into the vision that is a collective vision, and you may be doing part of it, but it doesn't mean that you see the whole vision. You have to do it all by yourself, right? So I believe that this is a platform for us to see what others are doing, so that everybody can see what is their part. Something like that. I don't have like a pitch line, or a pitch deck or anything. So yeah, I can for now only give this elaborated expression of how do I see coherence. So that is it from me.
I love it. Before I respond, I wasn't aware that Victor's roadmap did not work. I thought it was
Oh,
all working quite well. So tell me a bit more. What did not work?
well, we wanted to have a website already like months ago.
Right. So the timelines didn't quite work as expected, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
We don't even have texts for the website ready. And I mean, I never worked with Victor before. So I was kind of, okay, we are going to have this text this week and website next week. Fine. But then I was each time seeing how he's moving it, like more in time, until I was like, no, this is, I guess, not perhaps the role of yours to design this timeline, this roadmap. And this is when I have suggested that maybe we should design this timeline together. And yeah, and he agreed.
makes sense. I feel scary German energy coming through. This is gonna be the schedule, and this is what's gonna happen, or else. I appreciate it though, like I really do. Um,
You feel scary German energy from me?
yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. Like there is gonna be a timeline, and we're gonna stick to it, or else, we're gonna do unspeakable things to you because that's what Germans do. Um,
So you think I'm so Germanized already?
no, 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 no. But
But you are German.
yes, but don't tell anybody. I've been trying to keep that a secret. No, I mean seriously, not seriously. There is different types of energy to tap into around making this real, right? And it wouldn't be inaccurate to call this the German energy. Okay, we're putting this on a timeline, we're breaking it down into small steps, and we're going to execute the fuck out of it until it happens. And we're going to stick to that, period. And it's next to the relationship to money and power. It's one of the three ingredients that we have way too little of so far in this space.
Time, you mean?
Um, no grounded, reliable execution
Ah,
energy.
okay. Okay. Yeah, then let's do it.
Okay.
But first, you have to pitch that coherence to me.
Uh,
Ah!
okay. Well, permission to go off the reservation because this isn't going to end up in a timeline, or it may end up in a timeline, but it's going to be more on a decades-long timeline than what are we going to do in the next 3 months. But maybe we can fold it back to that afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So what coherence is to me is a field that doesn't even know its own scale yet. Um, and it also doesn't really know its siblings yet, right?
Mm.
Because the its function is to provide the scaffolding, the infrastructure. So you heal that separation that you mentioned, right? So that things are no longer being built in silos, but that they get interwoven, that they get integrated in a way that feeds them and feeds the system.
Mhm.
And like personally, what I'm working on, what we're working on with Era and Elegant Earth is the financial side of this
Mhm.
as well, but at a more systemic scale. And from that angle, you would call what I just described systemic alpha. So you create extra returns by interweaving everything. Like the way I'm pitching this to funds right now is, look, we're raising funds into different buckets for something that A is fundamentally secure because by far the biggest chunk, about two-thirds, go into real estate, into land and buildings.
Mm.
So that isn't going to go away. Um, then the money goes into building in and of itself fairly boring businesses and projects, most of them, but they are fairly boring, stable businesses and projects, right? They are not going to lose millions. Then some of that money, goes into higher risk, higher return ventures. Green tech, prop tech, let's 3D print graphene solar panels is one thing we're working on
Mhm.
right now. And the digital side, right?
Mhm.
Free AI collaboration
Mhm.
software, which can create much bigger returns. And so what we do then is basically explain the value stack. So first of all, you're not going to lose all your money. The second
Mhm.
thing is you're going to get a halfway decent return just because those are boring businesses. You may get a bit of extra return from the, high capacity ventures in this that may become unicorns, something like this. But the real interest in doing this systemically starts when you look at all of this as an ecosystem of companies that are designed to work together, that have the infrastructure to work together. And then, what they used to say about economies of scale and scope and integration, you do that at a much bigger scale systemically, where you do 100,000 small things that save a bit
Mhm.
of money, that make a bit of extra money, but you do it in a systematic way. It's baked into every company. It's also baked into every company that they play really well with each other, right?
Mhm.
So nothing gets
Mhm.
wasted anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that gets you to systemic alpha. That's easily, 10, 20 extra points of returns. And finally, the real kicker comes with impact monetization. So
Mhm.
we don't have that right now, but in 3 years, we're going to be at the point where we have reliable, auditable impact measurement across social and green impact, far beyond carbon
Mhm.
credits, and where that impact can be turned into tradable hard assets that a pension fund can buy, right?
Mhm.
Right now, there's trillions of funds waiting out there that need to go into green and social, but there are no verifiable assets.
Mhm.
Um, and so when we do that, we actually become just about as interesting as any other Silicon Valley startup,
Mhm.
because all of that beginning to look really interesting from a returns perspective for a normal investor. The other kicker that we bring is investing into our system. Well, if the world continues to function, then we make the money through the impact monetization, and God forbid that that governments start taxing externalities, then we're the only people left standing. But if the world goes to shit, then the money buys access, buys entry into a community of places that are self-resilient, self-sufficient, that have good people around, and maybe one of the few places left worth living in. So it's kind of a no-brainer from the financial side. Um, Almost, but I'm pretty confident that we can do it from that side, right? The other side that we are bringing by regional regeneration, building this from place, the event side, good people. I have to send you the internal event doc for the boat we are doing in Paris around change now at the end of the month, because
Uh-huh.
we recognize a lot of things you just said about coherence. Now, um, arguably, all of this to me is part of coherence, just under a different brand name.
Right.
Coherence, as we speak about it, is the digital side of this,
Mhm.
right? It's
Okay.
achieving exactly the same things, and it's kind of
Mhm.
in this bigger puzzle piece. It's the missing thing that will allow the other things to actually happen at scale. Because if we
Yeah.
don't have the digital infrastructure to bring it together like that, we're fucked. I mean, we have
Mhm.
another year or two where we can build it manually, and it needs to be built person by person, project by project. But yeah, then if we don't have something that can keep feeding this as it grows exponentially
Mhm.
in the right way, then the software side would become our bottleneck. And so this is what I see this becoming. Curious if and when and how it's going to land with Victor, that I'm kind of counting on him to make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. I
Uh,
guess we can say hello to Victor if you are listening to us now, you know.
yeah, I mean, I think we're going to talk about it later today. So if he comes in, if you see him tomorrow and he's still pissed at me, you know why.
Okay. Do you think he will be pissed?
Maybe not really pissed, but maybe a little bit like I'm not going to answer that directly. I'm going to answer it indirectly. Like, this is a pretty huge thing. And this is why we need to do it this way, because it needs a lot of shoulders to rest on.
Mhm.
If it ever felt like this is on Victor's shoulders, that would be a crushing weight.
Yeah.
And I think like all of us, I mean, I'm slowly losing the habit of doing that, but sometimes I think it feels for all of us like it's on our shoulders. And that is a painful place to be in.
Hmm. But we have to move from pain to joy.
Yeah. Yeah. It can't be avoided, but we don't have to set up camp in pain.
We don't have to?
We don't have to set up camp in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shadow side of this in the regenerative space is this self-sacrifice, self-torture. Like I'm bearing all this, I'm sacrificing myself in order to, I mean, somebody should hold up a mirror to them and be like, so this beautiful, joyful world you're saying you want to build, you're going to build it from that place?
Exactly.
How do you think that tracks?
Yeah. So what is your recipe? Do you have like a framework?
Well, people like always get mature people together that can
Mhm.
hold that joyful thing
Yeah.
amongst themselves. And, you know, as they stabilize, as we build things from that, you bring more people in who aren't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But they, and I've seen this happen over the last 2 years in particular. Like people come in and they're like, they smell joy and they're
Yeah.
like, I don't want
Yeah.
this. I don't give a fuck about what you're doing, but I want this. Because it reminds them of their fucking birthright. It reminds them that this is what we were born to be
Mm.
like, and that
Yeah.
this is how we are supposed to build things.
Yeah.
We are just trained out of believing that that is possible.
Yeah.
Like I used to frame this as making the impossible possible, right? When I started building villages, I explicitly did it as an impossible project. That
Mm.
was my frame. Okay, there's no way to do this. Let's start
Let's
working.
do it.
That took on the pressure that took off the pressure in that frame, right? It's impossible anyway. I'll just poke at it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, take a look at from the leadership angle, from the business building angle. Leadership is hard in a fucking corporate context, right? That's why there are so many books and seminars and coachings and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And you move out of the corporate context and try to build a normal business where your ass is on the line. And if your business doesn't succeed, you don't feed your family. More pressure. Leadership gets harder. Now, start looking at our space where not only you're trying to build a business from scratch, but you're trying to do it in a space that doesn't even exist yet. We have no proven business models. You know, it's no wonder that
Sounds fun.
who wouldn't sign up for that, right?
Yoo-hoo!
And that brings
Let's
us back
stand in the light.
to what we're doing. Like we need to build the freaking scaffolding from the software side, from the financial side, from the venture building side. So that maybe one day it becomes as straightforward as opening a McDonald's franchise,
Mhm,
just not quite as hierarchical, but that's the standard I'm aiming for.
mhm, 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 mhm.
That is like, yeah, you know, you still have, if you operate a McDonald's, there's still a lot of shit on your shoulders, but you don't have to figure out the whole thing alone.
Absolutely.
I'm probably going to get skewered for using McDonald's as an example in the regenerative world, but oh well.
We'll cut this out. Don't worry. So I have a question. So what would be the qualities of the human beings that you would like to collaborate with? You said mature, joyful. Is there anything else?
Well, there's one bottom line to kind of come into close collaboration, and that is owning my shit.
Mhm.
So like we all break down, we all have off days. We even put our shit on others still occasionally, even if we're mature. So none of that is a problem. But if after 24 hours and sleeping on it, I don't recognize that and come back and be like, hey, I put my shit on you, I'm sorry, then that is a problem.
Mm.
So the key thing is, and in those times when there's conflict, um, and this is, how the collaboration between Victor and me got sealed. It was a night of sitting in the fire together and fighting. And we didn't come to an agreement, not really. Um, but we fought it out and our relationship actually got stronger to it. It's a little bit like Matrix, right? You don't know a person until you've fought them. I don't think it's a prerequisite, but oftentimes it's very helpful to do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and like, believe me, it was intense. I mean, Victor can get intense probably by now. I'm no different. Nick, our co-founder, he was witnessing all that, and I think he was, he was a bit at a loss for words afterwards. Like, I
What
really,
just happened?
yeah, I witnessed this, but it was also like scary. I don't know, but he looked more shell-shocked than Victor and I were. Like we were like, okay, good, we got this. This was, but hey. So that was a very long-winded way of saying this is the bottom line, right? If I can trust somebody to sit in the fire with and we'll figure it out together, that is the core bit, that degree of maturity. And then on the wish list for doing what we're doing, yes, some actual skills, grounding, being able to
Mm.
execute, having some systemic understanding because the stuff we are doing isn't linear. Um, Other key skills include comfortable in not knowing,
Okay.
right? Because how do you shape an emergent living system? You don't.
Mhm.
All of this is way too complex and moving way too quickly to plan out in the German step-by-step way.
Yeah.
It's valuable to make the plans, but most often, they're going to shift.
Mm.
And so seriously, we proved this out with Terra, with the first bioregional center we built up in France. We had a very clear sense of where we wanted to go, and we usually had our next step. Okay, we're going to go down there. Okay, we're going to talk to people. Okay, we're going to do this. Um, but of course, there were many times when we were like, okay, this feels stuck. We don't know what to do next. We don't know
Mm.
how this wants to move.
Mm.
And then, both Maria and I also have this old school business world background, right? So the
Mm.
default would have been, okay, let's just execute and keep moving. But we didn't. So we stayed in not knowing, even though, it wasn't very comfortable at times. And then the next step would appear, and we'd be like, okay, we do that. So we went from wanna create a bioregional center here to opening the doors of that bioregional center in less than a year. I think that's pretty good execution speed, right?
Kudos.
Mm.
Very good.
So yeah, that is one of the key skills. The you can also put it in a different way. It's listening to where the field wants to go,
Good.
as opposed to, hey, I have this plan in my little, left hemisphere brain, and I'm gonna execute on this no matter what the world around me is saying because I'm
Mhm.
German. No, okay, I'm gonna stop hacking on the German thing now. Um,
No, yeah, yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I needed to unlearn this because I had too many ideas usually, and when they are bubbling, I want to, of course, like execute on them, but it's not always a good idea to follow up on ideas.
And the reverse is also true, right? The another way to say the same thing is, am I being driven by fear right now? Like by
Mm-hmm.
pressure?
Mm-hmm.
Am I being pulled by joy? Am I
Mm-hmm.
listening to the noise or am I moving towards signal? Same thing. And that is actually something that is so astonishingly simple to do within our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Once we track onto it, that is probably the very reason why it's not that common yet, because it's too simple to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, something to practice.
Yeah. It's, like one of my all-time favorite quotes. It was from my original teacher. He used to say, "It is so simple to be happy, but so difficult to be simple."
That's a good one.
Uh, I mean, I kind of disagree with him these days because no, it's not fucking difficult to be simple. Not really, but
It's a matter of
a habit.
practice.
Yeah, it's unlearning, not learning.
Mm, yeah. I want to check the script.
Okay. I'm checking on Nanook because I think he wants to go out, but no, he's laid down again. Nanook is one of my furry companions.
My dear, when I'm saying the script, I see that our conversation will be still like 2 hours long or something.
Okay. I can go a little bit over, but maybe we just make this a two-part conversation then or something. We can also do a rapid fire and response. Like we can try to
Okay,
make really quick answers.
good. Then let's do it. 2 minutes. Tell me about the organizations you are part of and how they connect to Coherence 2025.
Right. So I already did that. See, it's checked off the box. Elegant Earth is
Good.
not an organization. It's a field, a group of people of organizations that want this thing, more coherence, more elegance, more harmony, more radiance in the world. Um, and then it has an execution layer, a flywheel of Elegant Capital, Elegant Ventures, and Terra. So Terra,
Yeah.
Bioregional Impact, Elegant Capital, show me the money. Elegant Ventures, how the fuck do we build these things? And they connect to coherence because Elegant Earth really is a systemic map of everything we need to do this at scale.
Uh-huh.
And there is a huge area on that map for that whole digital side. And coherence, at the very least, fills 80% of that potentially. And a feature of Elegant Earth is we're going to build all this shit ourselves if we have to. But the preferred way of doing it is find the people who are already doing it and just bring them all together.
Yeah. 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 Good.
Okay. Next.
Good. What questions and needs are your organizations bringing to Coherence 2025?
Wow.
I guess you answered that exactly.
Need the software.
What kind of projects would you like to invite to Coherence 2025?
Well, the extra ones from the digital side for me come from the impact measurement and impact accounting asset creation space.
Mhm,
And most of the other ones are already in here,
mhm,
like Quorum, like other people we're talking to. There's Wisdom AI in the States. I hope to bring them in.
mhm.
There is another AI that sounds so promising, but I still don't know if he's real or if it's all bullshit. We'll see.
Okay, good. What questions do you have for me?
In addition to the ones I already asked. So if we go back to the immediate timeline, what would make you really, really happy in terms of outcome of coherence in the next 3 months?
Hmm. But this is question to me or me as Coherence co-steward.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, quite,
Okay.
quite
Then
big one.
I'd like to hear them both.
Okay. So to me as pre-branding, This is about building a stronger case, I would say, stronger proof of concept of the relevance of my skills.
Mhm.
Maybe some case study. I don't know yet because it's emergent. So I don't know what kind of skills of mine, of perhaps some processes of mine are going to be useful. Not necessarily. I feel this is the project for my process, but of course parts of it all the time, everywhere. And for coherence in general, I would say that is about the venture family that Victor is thinking about, and that I'm happy to welcome and basically become part of it. So this is where I'm headed, and in general also, yeah, like making the life and work of people working in the regenerative ecosystem easier by having better tools. Because yeah, I'm tired of using Telegram and emails. Recently with the regenerative marketing movement, uh, we've come back to email list because yeah, we were on the circle.co, but it has proven to not deliver what we want, right? So but we don't want to jump into like a chat, whatever. So we are in the email list. Like, how effective is this? So there is a big need to simply have something better and to organize for peace.
I like that last one. I mean, I liked everything before as well, but the last one was like mic drop. Okay.
Then the roadmap.
Okay.
Shall we set a cap on that as well?
Martin, let's see. Like, so, oh, by cap,
Like a time cap.
I was gonna say let's set a time cap on the roadmap. What time window are we looking at for the roadmap? Like 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years?
I am afraid that we are talking about the 2 months right now.
Okay.
But of course, we are talking about concept proof, not
So I think
not
then
much more.
if it's the venture family, then in 2 months we kind of need to have a portfolio ready um, of the different projects and a total ask and a seed ask. Like the way that I see this, I did this for our real estate projects in Notion, right? Pulled together 50 different projects and, profile for each of them. Those are the financial needs. And then, you make a total page from that and the sources of money that you're tapping into. And then you whittle it down to what's the seed ask that you want from venture funds or angels or sponsors. Um, One thing I want to weave in there, and maybe you can sell Victor on that because right now he doesn't want to come on the boat. Um, I was hoping to make Coherence like an, what's the right word for this? A house guest of all the events we're creating with good people. Meaning that, so the idea of good people is bringing rich people, ultra net worth individuals, funders, and so on into our spaces by events, right?
Mm.
And there's obviously also something in it for the rich people, but this is kind of how we bring the people with money into our projects, into our spaces, make
Mhm.
them part of it, and get them to compete with each other. Fuck, this is going to be public? Okay, yeah, no. Not get them to compete with each other over investing. We would never do such a thing. Um, But yeah, I mean, they're also smart people. So sure, if you get 5 different investors into the same project, they all work on it with us together, then the likelihood that they're going to get into some friendly competition of who gets to invest is much higher than if you bring
Mhm.
one investor and try to
Yeah.
them and be like, please, please, we need your money,
Okay.
right?
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would like those tied together, and I'm not sure. I also haven't talked enough to Victor about this, but for example, in Paris, we're running these workshops on the boat, right? And they're geared to create an experience that in 3 hours on that boat, um, people are not hanging out at an event, but they'll do real work together and come out with next steps, with
Mm-hmm.
solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, collaboration, the people side, the Web3 side is a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
We're also looking at play. So the 3 circles that Madeline, Martiniere, that Madeline brought is people, place, power.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that fits under these 3 circles, is good to go during those
Mm-hmm.
events. We're okay, I'm gonna go too far into detail, so I'll stop here. Um, I would like Victor, I would like you, I would like, all the other people that we're working with to come attend these events
Mm-hmm.
and start getting sponsors, start getting investors for the Coherence family fundraise from there as well. Because one of my more beloved ideas is something that I call physical due diligence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
What's that?
It's getting
Aha, okay.
people into
Mm-hmm.
the same room, getting them to work on real things together,
Mm-hmm.
and building the trust that way.
Yeah,
And then, they rely on the relationship they have, on the experience they've had, on that exposure to the joy, on seeing it made real in real time,
good.
and not on some financial models in a deck that promise systemic alpha.
Good. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Um, I'm also all about meeting in physical, in person, because uh, yeah, I believe that our internet almighty is mm, a big blessing. At the same time, an in-person contact cannot be replaced in any way, because simply there is so much more being communicated, and we can connect on a deeper level. And like you said, it builds trust. Nothing
Yeah.
can build trust like a meeting for a few days in person.
Meeting and doing real work together on top of that, right? Not just hang out. Sorry.
I mean, to me, this is a default. When we are meeting, we are working. But
No, but okay, where I'm coming from, Eric and Nick, they came up with a good people idea because they were attending all of these events and it was all noise, right?
oh, okay, just talking. Okay, I get it.
And
And where do you have like a roadmap of these events? Like, are they already scheduled or like
yeah, I'll send you the invite to the
good?
voting, uh,
Hmm.
and I'll also send you the internal document because I'm curious what you think about that.
Absolutely. I'm set on the networking journey, basically. So everything that is interesting in terms of like where I can weave the network, yeah, it's like it's for me.
Well, so you probably weren't planning to attend Change Now, or you would have said something, but it kind of goes without saying you're more than welcome to be on that boat. You can also
Mhm.
facilitate on that boat if you want to do it.
Okay, let's take it out of this call. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
interested.
Okay, okay. Right. More
Change
questions?
now. Good. So yeah, we have KPI portfolio ready and seed ask for angel sponsor by the end of June. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's not 2 months, but that seems more than fine.
It's almost 2 months.
Yeah,
A little
don't
bit more.
scare me that this year is going by so.
No, wait. May, April. Hey, we have 3 months still. How it
You're
is possible? I think we banned at the time because we had 3 months when we were starting in March.
Oh,
Okay, let's just be happy that we have 3 months now. Not 2 months,
month.
3 months. And we are here. We are KPI first videos up. I think we have some videos up today. So I think we are very good. We can mark a blue check. And basically, these are all just, I would say, ideas. Victor has added them here, and I have reorganized them a little bit. So yeah, the yellow are KPIs, like 10 videos published, 100 videos published. There is a KPI, all co-stewards onboarded. I think it has to be a little bit earlier. KPI, signed up projects.
Screen, then I have to find that other window.
You don't see my screen.
No, it was somewhere, too many
Oh.
screens, too many, but now I see it. Now I see.
Hmm? Okay. KPI, signed up projects, all interviews at least once. So these are KPIs. And now we have also a website published, sponsor deck, co-steward dashboard development and project dashboard development, and public announcement and invitation to join. So these are all the puzzles. And yeah, but feel free to basically add or remove or.
For sure.
Mhm.
I would add one thing to this, and that is a link tree somewhere where it's really easily findable. Like we have so many documents and spaces and links, and I haven't yet found a central repository
But
of all the links.
this is a central repository,
Yeah.
co-steward dashboard, and there are links.
Okay.
I have organized them recently, so they are.
Okay, then I didn't see that yet. Thanks.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. That was kind of what I was hoping for. Okay. So are we in question mode or are we in anything to add mode on the short-term roadmap? I'm not fully tracking.
I would say that I'm gathering suggestions, uh, ideas. In general, I would like to go through this roadmap tomorrow within the open house call.
Yeah.
But for now, it is quite. There's nothing here yet. It feels like a early draft.
Okay, then like my suggestion would be I think for the fundraise we would want something similar than what we did for Notion. So I got a whole bunch of things to share with you. Also our sponsorship document that we made for the boat. I'm hoping to get your feedback on it, and if it's useful for this, then all the better. The other thing that we basically need to build in May is starting getting standardized project pages together. So if we have 20 or 30 potential projects to fundraise for, you don't want to throw 20, 30 different decks at potential investors. You want a standardized template so they can kind of compare each project to the next one really quickly. And then, yeah, sure, you also attach the decks if they want to go deeper. But first of all, you want to get to a point where it's like, okay, we have a total value, like an overall raise over the next 5 years of 100 million that all of this needs. In order to get this going, seed funding, we need 500,000 here, and this is how we use it, right? And those are all the things that are going to get built from it.
Mm-hmm.
Your face doesn't exactly look like I'm making a whole lot of sense.
Well, no. It does make sense.
The key bit there is standardized, like that they all fit themselves into one investor template, so they don't have to.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh,
When do you think we should start public announcement and start inviting projects to join?
So we are inviting them to join into a shared fundraising journey. We're inviting them to join into making this whole vision real. What is our invite in that case? I'm actually not sure.
No, dear.
Okay. So
We are mostly, we are not talking about fundraising at all,
mm,
right? We are talking about online event to design to weave the ecosystem of companies developing tools for, okay, I see that this copywriting is not the latest version because I don't think we want to talk about post-web, but basically conscious collaboration and wise AI.
uh,
So for now, it is all about basically running this conference, and there is enough value in the conference itself. And this is why I was skeptic kind of already here, because our official goal, like, is not to build portfolio to ask for angels and sponsors. It is like unofficially, it is Victor is talking about it, and I think a lot of people know about. It's not a secret, but it's not official narrative. It's like that.
then I think we need to separate these two out. Like just the load that is on Victor's shoulders, that is on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to start asking for sponsorship money as quickly as
Mm-hmm.
possible, so that there's some cash coming in, and then make that a separate track from the portfolio raise.
Mm-hmm.
We can
So.
weave them back together naturally in the sense that, hey, if you sponsor us now, you get preferred access to the portfolio something. We'll have to figure out a value stack, but um, like we follow a similar logic with the build-a-thon. Um, I've never mentioned that to you, have I?
Mm-mm.
Right. So with Terra France, we were looking at everything we needed to build out on the land to have the whole regenerative system up and running, right? From houses to permaculture to water reclamation and.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, well, that is really nice. We don't have the money for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came up with the idea of running a build-a-thon, of
Okay.
building these out with volunteers that want to learn, with experts that
Mm-hmm.
are going to teach them,
Mm-hmm.
and with sponsors and corporates and venture studios, and especially also corporate venture
Mm-hmm.
builders coming in with their money, with their people, that want to get their hands in the regenerative soil, that want to do some creative stuff, want to test new solutions, bring them all together into that space, and basically have our work funded by the sponsorship money essentially, and some matching funding and catalytic capital. And the people who want to learn how to build a house, they have to pay how to learn to build a house, but they're also free labor for us.
Mm-hmm.
So some good capitalist logic in there. And the deal for the sponsors is, depending on level, they can just get their name on this and it looks great in their CSR report
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing stuff like this. They can bring their people and they can get exposure to a very different world, to a very creative world, to, in many ways, the way that the corporate world will have to function like in the future,
Mm-hmm.
because speed, pressure. Um, they can also bring their solutions to us, develop them with us, test them with us. Um, there is a fourth case in there that I think we can also leverage for this. So there's a lot of VC investments in green tech and prop tech and so on and so forth, where the VC never knows really what did they put their money into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until it reaches the market and fails. So we can create a playground. That's what we're doing with the build-a-thons, for these early stage prototypes to be made real, to be used, to be tested, And then the VCs basically pay us for testing whether the founders that they invested in are bullshitting them or whether the product is real.
Mhm.
Right? Because and in software, I think this goes even deeper. There is often a huge knowledge gap between the investors and the project, where, the investors kind of buy into
Mhm.
the story, but they don't know if this shit really works. That's why
Mhm.
it's called venture capital, right? If it was a sure bet, then it wouldn't be much of a venture. Um,
So what would you add to the roadmap, saying what you said?
as a next step, a workshop on that whole sponsorship thing. Like whoever is interested in bringing money into this, go work with us on this, so it becomes a coherent approach, pun intended.
So, okay, we are in week 2 already, aren't we? So I guess maybe if we have workshop in next week and let's put it here for now, right? Sponsor deck uh, very fast. I think for the sponsor deck to actually make sense, we also need to have a website ready, right?
Not necessarily, but doesn't hurt.
Well, if you know, I would even say like this: 10 videos published. Because if we want to start to go for sponsors, we need to show that we are credible. And
For me, there is usually a loop in there where we take the sponsorship deck to friends first,
okay, okay,
and to learn from that before we start pushing it out for colder channels. And for
okay.
the friends, the website maybe doesn't matter all that much.
Mm-hmm. So we need 1 week or 2 weeks to improve the deck.
Uh, First, friends and family around.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a website ready. And then we have 10 videos published. And then we can start the sponsoring journey.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Good. And anything else here?
Um, I'm hitting a biological limit right now.
Okay, maybe we have to leave it here. Like,
But that's what I'm asking. We can either take a short break, uh,
mhm.
but I do need a break sometime in the next 10 minutes.
No, I think we have to. I would suggest that we finish in 6 minutes.
Oh,
So let's do what we can do in the next 6 minutes.
okay.
Good. Uh, do. So, sponsor deck ready. When do you think we can actually achieve some results with this deck? We need a month or something?
So in my logic, I would like to have a physical event in there somewhere,
Mhm.
um, where they can meet us, right?
Mhm.
So maybe we first find a sponsor for that physical event.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, from our side, we have an event in Collegali in June, but that's kind of more supposed to be a small group than a big group. But hey, there's Victor's place. We could do it in France. So I think this is then another track, like first asking, do we want the physical event? Do we want a physical get together, sort of hackathon thing? And if we do, then how do we create this so it becomes a sponsor magnet? Like, it's easy, low barrier to entry. You kind of
Mhm.
start your sponsorship journey by purchasing a donor ticket to this one. And then you get a taste for us and for what we're doing, and then maybe you're ready for a bigger commitment as a sponsor.
Mhm. You know what is my problem only? That we wanted to get a sponsorship in order to build all those, to hire some developers to build all those dashboards,
Okay.
right?
How much
But
needed for that? 10K?
oh, Victor was making calculations, something like, yeah, 5 to 10K.
Well, then that is more, the personal letter to people we know with money who could have interest in this rather than a sponsorship deck.
Mhm. Okay. Then let's leave it like that for now. You are coming tomorrow, right?
God willing, yeah, yeah.
All right. And let's leave it like that for now, because we also don't have to figure it out all to get today. Uh, what do you think about all those technical matters? Are you actually at all interested in figuring things out of this kind?
I am, and we can talk more on this.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
Okay.
Then we have pushed some things forward. See, we now have two
Bye.
roadmaps.
Okay. Alex, I'm gonna jump then because I have to.
Sure, my
I'll
dear.
send you
Thank you
some
so
stuff
much.
to read and we'll continue this in tonight.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
lovely. Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.